Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is UCD Videos. How you guys doing? So this is a Magnavox Odyssey 3000 that I found in a thrift store a little while ago for $5. So for those of you who don't know what these things are, this is basically a pong console. And what that is well, way back in the day, the very first video game system ever was the Odyssey home game system, which was basically Pong, ping pong, and it was the original Odyssey was very primitive. It didn't actually have cartridges; it had chips that you would put in that would change the internal circuitry, and that's how you got your games, right? So after the Odyssey came out and it was a smash hit, it didn't even have like for example, you'd play Pong, but there wouldn't be walls. You'd put an overlay over the TV, and then that's how you would do it, right? Stuff like that, very primitive. So after that was a hit, all these clones came out, and so Odyssey themselves put out lots of different Pong clones, including this one. There was an Odyssey 2000, Odyssey 3000, Odyssey 4000, blah blah blah. And they'd have different games, things, usually variations on Pong. Some of them had light gun games attached to them. Some of them had like one where there was like a little cowboy where you would shoot back and forth, or like a primitive tank game. Think the first generation of Atari 2600 games. Like that's what you would get on these, things like Pong, skeet shooting, maybe a submarine airplane battle type game, that kind of thing. So this particular one has some different games here. You can kind of use this selector thing to choose them. Right, so they got practice, smash, hockey, and tennis. I'm assuming practice is like just a wall, and then you'd have your Pong thing over here and you just bounce it off a wall. Smash, I don't really know. I'm guessing, hockey just seems the same thing as Pong, except like you probably have a goalie. And then tennis is probably like Pong, except there's a wall that you hit over it. So they're all just variations on Pong for this one. Couple of little switches down here, so you can choose professional or amateur. So remember, all this stuff is all analog, right? That's why there's switches, right? And what it's doing is that it's just switching between the different circuits that are built into the console, and that's how you select the game. Serve, auto, manual, and then on and off here. And then these are the controllers. They come bundled into the machine. Got that nice sort of 70s kind of styling. And it's kind of cool, they sort of fit in. They're just basically, paddleball controllers. There's no buttons on them, nothing like that. None of these games require buttons. And that's pretty much it as far as what the console looks like. So this particular one has been sitting in someone's closet or something for the last 30, 40 years, right? I mean, these things came out in the mid-70s, I think, usually. Early to mid-70s, so who knows how old this is. This console could be older than me, for all I know. Right. But, let's see. Got a standard sort of RF connector going there, so nothing fancy. There is a problem with this, though. Something I noticed on the back here is that... Oh, wow, that just came right out. Is that whoever owned it left the batteries inside. So the batteries are seriously, majorly corroded. Let me just get a zoom. Let me zoom in on that so you guys can see it, because that's pretty bad. And I don't know if it's gonna work after that. See, look how bad that is. That's like one of the worst cases of corrosion I've ever seen. So sometimes, you can clean this out. Stuff like this, when you get electronics that have battery corrosion like this, sometimes you can clean them out. I don't know. This looks pretty fucking bad. I mean, these are like 40-year-old batteries in here. So I'm going to be extremely careful, and I think I'm going to go get a face mask, because I don't want any of this shit to like aerosolize and for me to breathe it in and fucking die of cancer 10 years from now. So I will be right back. Okay. One good thing about life during a pandemic is that we all have access to face masks. So let's be very careful here, because I don't know what's going to happen when I take these out. I'm hoping they don't just suddenly fucking decide to burst or some shit like that. Right? Because, wow, look at that. These are Duracells, too. Alright, let's not touch this. I think it's pretty much fine. I mean, but, wow, check that out. Come on, focus, focus. Look at that shit. It's like, how old are these? I wonder if there's a date on these. Probably not. I think these are so old that it's like before they like put expiration dates on batteries. You know. Because now, whenever you buy batteries now, it'll always say, this is good until X number of, year, whatever, right? And I think these are so old that was before that was a thing. Which means that these must be from like the 70s or some shit. Okay, let's see. That is just, wow, okay, so that's corroded so hard that it's stuck to the spring right there. Alright. Let's see, the spring actually looks pretty good, so I was kind of afraid that corrosion might have gotten onto the spring and like fucked it up, right? Because sometimes when you see stuff like this that's this bad, sometimes it'll start rusting in there, and then like the pieces just rust off and then you're screwed, and if you want to fix it you have to like solder on like a new connector. So let's just very carefully take all this out. Okay. Okay. Got all that crusty ass battery acid from fucking 40 years ago out of there. Alright, come on out, you. I don't want to touch you with my fingers. Alright. Okay, now we have to get all of this crusty ass shit out of here. And I think I'm gonna have to unscrew this and take the thing apart in order to actually, like, be able to clean it out properly. So, because, yeah, I don't think it's, and plus you want to make sure that it didn't get down into the electronics and whatnot. Okay, folks, we're back. So I got me a screwdriver, and we're gonna open this guy up. So let's see, got one, and oh, that one goes way down there. All right, let's take this one out. Can I get those out of there without turning this thing over? See, I want to be really careful, because if I flip this thing over, then all of this stuff is gonna like fall into the inside of the, and I don't want to ruin that just yet. I'm gonna try to avoid getting all of that crap into the bottom of the unit there. So can I even get these out of here? No, I'm not gonna be able to. Crap, I think that's gonna be unavoidable. If I can even just get these screws out, that would be nice. Alright. They're unscrewing, but is there even a screw in this one? Wow. I don't even think there's a screw in that one. Doesn't feel like it. Alright. And this guy, okay, I'm not going to be able to reach that, so I'm going to have to replace my screw head with the super duper long screw thingy. Is that going to reach? You know what, I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Wow. Because this one, for some reason, is way down in there, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to reach that. Let's see, will that reach? Ah, yes it will. Haha! It's like just the right size, too. Of course, my screw thingy isn't magnetic, so the screw is out, but I can't take it out. That's okay. There's one there. Can I do this without touching that stuff? I know that it's probably inert by now, but I don't want to get that stuff in my hands. Okay, can I take this thing off of here? Let's see. Or are there more screws that I'm just not seeing? Wow, look how corroded that is. Look at that. Let me zoom in on that. Right there. Look how corroded that is. Right here. That's, wow. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. That's pretty freaking bad there. But I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I might be able to get it off. Somehow I doubt it. Somehow I think that we're gonna have to end up like resoldering on a new connector to this thing. But we'll see. Okay, so it looks like the back is starting to come off a little bit. Oh, it's this screw. Okay. The screw that looks like that there isn't a screw there is the one that's giving me trouble. Zoom back out. Okay, let's try. Oh, I guess there is a screw there. It didn't look like there was. Just looking through it, I didn't actually see a screw, but okay, let's try this again. There we go. Alright, so the inside doesn't look half bad. Let's see, there's some kind of connector there. Yeah, alright, so I'm gonna try to dump this over the trash can so that I can get this goop out of here, and without that getting all over my carpet or dumping into the inside of the console here, and more than it already is. So let's try it and see if I can do this. Okay, there we go. Well, good news is it looks like most of it came out, and we got nothing really much to worry about. I think I do need to go wash my hands though, so that's cool. Bad news is I forgot there were screws in there, but I think I recovered them all. And the better news is that the inside doesn't look half bad. So I was afraid that the battery acid may have gone and spilled all over the inside and ruined all of the components. And looking at it, it looks like some of it got over here and some got over there, and then there's some corrosion on this area. Whatever this thing is, this looks like there's some kind of corrosion. Yeah, okay, so that's a little bit. Maybe I can just dump that out. Let's see. Okay, so it doesn't look like any of the components really. Alright, yeah, see there's a little bit of flakiness going. But all of the components there look pretty good. So no rust, just looks like a lot of dust and flaky battery residue. So I think we'll be able to clean all of these out. And let's take a look at the battery connectors here. Okay, the battery connectors look pretty good too. That one has a ton of corrosion on it. But I think I might be able to clean it off, and if we're lucky, it'll still have a good connection. So this actually gives me a little bit of hope. I'm thinking we might actually be able to get this thing running if we're lucky. So let me go ahead and clean some of this stuff off of here. Okay, we're back. So you may be wondering, how do you clean this stuff out safely, right? Well, these are alkaline batteries. Basically, the alkaline is base, so you want to use something, you know, like an acid. So what we're going to use is white vinegar, distilled white vinegar, right, in order to kind of clean this stuff out. And it should be fine if we just use a little bit, you know, we don't soak the fucking thing, right? Should be fine. But this, like, say for example, if you had a screw or something that was like covered in corrosive, you know, alkaline crap, you could immerse it inside of, you know, white vinegar and just kind of leave it, and that would clean all of the, clean all of the corrosion off of it, right, and whatnot. So what we're going to do here, let's start just in here, and just kind of, and what you'll see is that when you do it, you can't really see this through the camera, but what's happening is that it sort of bubbles, you know, and that's how you know that it's cleaning it out, right? You don't want to use too much, especially when you're going over components. You know, don't use too much. Just sort of get a Q-tip and just kind of dampen it a little bit, you know, And then the idea is that afterwards what you want to do is you want to get some rubbing alcohol and kind of go over it very lightly as well. And what that does, the rubbing alcohol, is that it will dry up all the remaining liquid on there, right? So basically it's just a, you know, and you can also, I mean, little bits of flakiness like this, you can just sort of like get a paper towel and dip it, you know, a little bit so that it's like damp, and go through and just kind of clean it out like this, right? This will get rid of most of that stuff, right? Okay, so just being very, very careful, you know. I mean, you could also get a shop vac. I mean, because this is like, you can kind of see here, it's just sort of like flakiness, right? I am a little concerned about breathing this shit in, right? So, because it's like dust, but I think I'll probably be okay. Let's see here. See, now, I don't know enough about these things to talk about the components that are in here. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, if you're into electronics, you probably already know what it is just by looking at it. I mean, here's the circuit board, then you got this sort of microcontroller thing over here, and then here's an internal speaker. So the sound comes out of the unit, it doesn't come out of the TV, you know, stuff like that. These things, I mean, this is like extremely primitive, right? This is like before the Atari 2600, you know, before the idea that you could put games on a cartridge and then, like, you know, take that and like interchange them between consoles. That's how old this is, you know. Like, that's all video games were for like a good 5-6 years or so, was just these sort of dedicated Pong consoles like this. And, you know, they were very, very popular. They were cheap to make, you know, so... Here, let's see if we can kind of move this back here and get into this corner. You know, Pong consoles like this were very cheap to make, and there are literally hundreds of them, and released all over the world by, you know, 1,000 different companies, right? And they're still finding new ones today, you know, from like weird places in like, you know, Eastern Europe and Russia and shit like that, right? You know, they'll find weird clones that, you know, and some of them will have like very strange like variations of games on them that you don't see anywhere else and that kind of thing. So there are guys out there, game collectors, who like this is all they collect is Pong consoles, right? Which, you know, I guess whatever you're into, I mean, if that's your thing, then, you know, wow, look at all this freaking, all this like battery dust. Let me just make sure none of this shit gets on my floor. Be very careful here. Hang on a second. Alright. Alright. Should probably wash my hands after this. I mean, I know it's dry, and there's no danger of it, like, corroding my fingers and shit away, but just to be safe, don't want to be messing around with fucking toxic chemicals and stuff if you can help it. Alright. Now let's see here. This is going to be the fun part. Because here, there is so much on this contact here that I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do that and preserve that contact. So let's try it. Let me see. Let me get that in. Let me get the camera on that, because it's so like. And then let me zoom in on there, because it is pretty bad, that one. All right, you guys can see that. Okay. Yeah, it's just caked on there. I mean, dang. I have never seen. Oh wow, see that? See how it's just like, you know, bubbling right through it. You can even hear it bubbling, right? I mean, I've never seen battery like leakage this bad before, you know. And who knows how long this has been sitting there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's why they sold it me for $5. Usually when you buy stuff from like thrift shops and that kind of thing, they usually open them up to make sure they work first. So I'm surprised that, like, they didn't even check this to see if it was, like, working, you know? Because if they just would have, like, opened up the... Oh, shit, this label's coming off. Well, fuck it. I don't even know what's on that label anyway, but it's gone. Let's just remove it. Yeah, usually, you know, thrift shops and things tend to check these things to make sure they work. So, I don't know. I mean, I think it wasn't a Goodwill. I didn't get this at a Goodwill. I got it at, like, a mom and pop kind of thrift shop, so maybe that's why they didn't bother. You know, maybe they just, like, had it in their garage or some shit, whoever donated it, and then the people that sold it just didn't know what it was. That's what I'm guessing, because most people that encounter these things have never seen them before, you know? Since they're so old, like, most people have no clue what they even do or what they are, and think that they're just some kind of fucking TV thing or some kind of video game thing, right? So, alright, let's see if that softened that up a little bit. Can I start chipping this away? Coming off a little bit. Alright. Wow, this is just like... I'm gonna have to, like, soften this up here. See how it bubbles? Pretty cool, huh? And basically it's rendering that inert. So, you know, you could touch this with your hands, essentially, but, you know, I'm not going to because I don't want to trust it. Because who knows what kind of weird stuff happens to 40-year-old battery acid? You know what I mean? Like, who wants to risk that? I don't. Alright. I'm gonna have to give my my hands a good nice washing after this. You know, make sure I don't have any, like, leftover acid on my fucking fingers or whatnot. Because, you know, I'm pretty sure it's fine. I mean, I don't really, you know, don't think that I'm subjecting myself to any cancer-causing chemicals or anything like that, but you never know, right? Spring is supposed to look like that. See that? That's what it's supposed to look like. And instead, it looks like this. Look at that. Like, it's just this, like, solid block of, like, solidified battery shit. So, I'm gonna have to just scrape that off of there. Looks like I got some of it off. Alright, let me just kind of chip away. I might cut most of this out of the video because this is not really fun stuff to watch. I'm sure you all want to watch me scrape away battery terminals on a Pong console. You know, that's exactly what you tune in for. Alright. But hey, you know what? It's actually coming off. It's coming off. Alright. And you know something? The battery terminal is not really that damaged. I was kind of afraid that it was going to be rusty. You know. Doesn't seem to be rusty, so that's really good. So far, so good. That looks way better than it did. I mean, it's still pretty nasty, and there's still some inside of there. Let me just sort of scrape that out. But sometimes if you're really unlucky, right, it'll just eat away into the metal, and then, like, rust will start gathering there, and then this whole thing will just snap off. I've seen that happen, you know, a couple of times with electronics like this. Wow, look at that. So much, so much. But it's looking way better, so yeah, I think we're making progress here. Yeah, not looking bad very much at all. So let's kind of wipe some of this crap up here. Alright, so I don't get this all over myself and I'm not breathing it in. I'm very, very cautious of that, you know. You don't want to mess around with stuff like this, folks. It's, when it comes to, like, chemicals and shit, you know, and, like, old corroded things, and it's like, yeah, you don't want to play around, you know, stay safe, right? Make sure you're, like, you know, make sure you're wearing, like, all the right safety equipment, that you got your safety goggles on, you know. Let's zoom out a little bit. stuff like that, right? Make sure you got everything so that you're protecting yourself and you're not exposing yourself to anything, any weird, disgusting chemicals and shit like that. Alright, well, you know, this actually looks pretty good, I gotta say. It's a major improvement to where it was a couple of minutes ago. And I think we might actually be able to get this clean. I mean, you saw what it looked like, man. Right. So this is not bad at all. Okay. I'm very, very happy with myself for being able to do this. Because I didn't think, when I opened that battery container, I thought this was a lost cause. I was looking at that going, what the hell? You know, I mean, probably very surprised. Hopefully it'll boot up. That'd be nice. You know, there's always the possibility that this thing is just like dead for other reasons, not just the battery components or whatever. You know, could be that this thing just has some kind of bad capacitor or something, you know what I mean, or some bad chip on here somewhere, and it could be just like, you know, so we'll see. I think it'll still be a long shot if it actually boots up and runs, but I've seen consoles that have had cockroaches in them. You know, when you like thrift shop for this stuff as much as I do, right, and get things off of Craigslist and that kind of thing, I've seen consoles, game consoles that are in very, very bad states of repair. Cockroaches, stuff where people have spilled drinks on them, you know, so it's like, you open the inside and it's all dried up soda, right, or whatever. You know, cigarettes, like cigarette smoking, like fucking puts this just film of like nasty brown shit all over everything. That, you know, for those of you who didn't know that, cigarettes actually screw up your electronics, you know. And I mean, I used to smoke, so I didn't know that. And of course, I kept going through DVD players, wondering why my DVD players would only last a couple of years. And that's why. You know, cigarette smoke gets in there, it messes up the laser, gets everything all dirty, screws up your electronics, so it's like, that's another reason not to smoke. Right? I mean, if you don't care about the general health effects of smoking, maybe you'll care that it's messing up your PlayStation. Okay, this is actually looking pretty good, you know. So let's screw it back together. Well, let's see, there's still a little bit of dust down in there, down in the corner. Right? I think what we need to do is give it a few minutes to dry. You know, make sure that everything's nice and dry, and then I'll screw it back together, and then we will try to boot it up and see if this piece of 45-year-old hardware still boots. Let's see, yeah, but just, you know, getting another look at the components, just so you guys can see what it looks like before we close this up. You know, there's some kind of board capacitors and stuff. I'm not seeing any of the busted capacitors or anything. All the connections are there, and you can kind of see this circuit board is like, this looks like something that like an engineering student would make. You know what I mean? Like, that's how primitive these things are. You know, they didn't have printed circuits yet. You know what I mean? So, and then here's our controller. It says AY385-1 and from Taiwan. I have no idea what, I don't really know what any of this stuff means, but you know, it definitely looks very primitive though, right? So I think we're gonna let this dry for a good 10-15 minutes, and then we'll screw it back together and see if it boots up. Alright, folks, so I found that the plug didn't work, and we had to go buy 6 C-size batteries, which according to my wife here cost like $25. And yeah, this thing takes 6 batteries, that's ridiculous. But the good news is that it actually does work, so we managed to hook it up. And That sound you're hearing is actually coming out of the console itself. So there's no sound. Sound does not go to the TV. So we have 4 games. Let's start with the top one. The top one is Practice. Right? Which just looks like you're practicing against a wall. And I guess this is a 1-player game. So there are 3 switches. The first one is speed, makes the ball go way faster. And this is actually not as easy as it looks. Alright, that's way too fast. Second one is angle, which I'm not exactly, it doesn't really seem to make much of a difference, but I think what it is, when you turn it on, it comes out at a higher angle, and then you can kind of like ricochet the ball or something. Right, so like I have it turned off right now, and it's just going back and forth. And then like I turn it on, yeah, see I turn it on, you see how the ball goes like a crazier angles. That's cool. And then the last one says player size, so it increases and decreases the size of the paddle, like that. Right? So you can have like easy mode and hard mode. So then there's a switch that says auto manual, so I just turned it off, and there's a serve button, so when you hit serve then it serves. Or else you can just go to auto and it'll just auto serve for you. So yeah, let's try a couple of games here. We got Practice. This is Smash, which took a little while to figure out. And what it is that you have 2 players, and you have to. I'm gonna change it to auto. Okay. Let's make the things. Let's make us big so that we're not, you know. Yeah. And let's turn the speed off. Okay. And what it is you have to take turns actually hitting the ball. So we'll just go to auto. Really, actually, let's reset here. Okay. All right. So, hey, that was bullshit. Okay. So it'll go through one person, and then the next person has to hit it. Right, so I hit it, now she's got to hit it, now I have to hit it. So it's like handball. But the problem is that you kind of get confused about whose turn it is. Because you're both the same color, you can't tell, like, and then when you're together, it's like you can't tell who is who, you know? And I swear to God, that thing is like going right through me sometimes.
Yeah, it goes through you when it's not your turn, but you can't tell when it's your turn.
Exactly, you can't tell when it's your turn, so. Because, I mean, this is before games had color, even.
Yeah, see, it went right through me there because it wasn't my turn.
Oh, right, it was my turn.
But I didn't know.
I'm also not sure who is player 1 and player 2, so at the top, like, which one of us has 4 points and which one has 7 points. Okay, it's your turn. There you go.
I think I have 4 points and you have 7 points.
Okay.
Because it says I'm visiting team.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, that's kind of lame. Okay, let's move on to, let's do hockey. So hockey's actually kind of awesome. So here with hockey, you've got a goalie and an attack dude in the center. And this can get kind of crazy because you're like hitting it. And you decide it sort of like went through my little dude, so you can like spike it in there. Ah. So this is kind of fun. I mean, this one I could see playing for a little while, like maybe having like a marathon drinking gang kind of thing going. Haha. See, you're like your little guy there. Like you can deflect it and knock it into the goal. You know, like what do they call that in hockey when you do a goal? I know you're like the hockey expert, right? Like slap shot or whatever.
Ha!
You just got me. So I'm on the left, and my wife here is on the right.
Yeah, the lower number is me always.
What? No. See, you just scored on me. Okay. See, that's kind of cool how it changes. Like your little dude can like change the angle of the ball there, right? Ah, shit. Nice. So, it's kind of like hard to... Alright. Let's make this a little crazier.
No! I don't know what's happening!
It's too fast. Okay, wait. Alright. Let's start over. Alright, so this is gonna be like really nuts. Okay, here we go.
I like the setting. I'm winning in the setting. Well, I was for a second. There you go.
See, it's sort of like it goes a little fast here. Like, it'd be nice, like, because there's
Kind
only
of playing
like,
itself at this point.
yeah, like there's only slow and then super fast. Like, it'd be nice if there was like an in between. Oh, damn! You like totally got me there. All right. Nice. So this is kind of cool. It's sort of like Twitch pong, you know? You beat me. So it only goes up to 15, so you now, if you try to hit it, it'll just go right through your paddle. That's how you know the game's over. See, watch. See how it's just going right through the paddles there. And then there's straight up tennis. So tennis is just straight normal pong. Oh, hang on. There we go. You know, that wasn't fair. Start over. Alright, you know, let me just turn off the manual thing. Reset. Okay. So that's one thing that if you switch the game in the middle of the game, it doesn't reset the score. That's kind of crappy. Alright, so I have it on manual. So ready? Just serve. Whoa. Alright, let's turn off the speed there too. That's too fast. Alright. Ready? Go. See, it's like, this is too slow, dude. You know, like, if we could just go a little bit faster than this, you know, like that. See how fast that's going? That's perfect. But then it slows down when you get it all like...
Yeah, it goes faster when you hit it with the edge of the paddle.
Yeah. So...
I have a feeling that,
let's make this small. Here we go.
Yeah. I was about to say, I think the small ones would probably make it go faster.
Yeah. Alright, so I got it on auto serve now. See, they need to make these with like machine guns or something. Battle Pong. Actually, I'd be surprised if somebody didn't already make a game like that. Like Pong, but then you can like shoot rockets or something, or... See, it looks easy. It's not that easy. You know what I mean? Like, because it's really fast. Like, see how fast it goes? So you have to kind of... It's like really squirrely, you know?
Yeah.
So...
Okay, now just keep losing. There we go.
Alright, so this is what... When most people think Pong, this is what they think. You know? So... Alright. Let's speed it up a little bit. We'll make these bigger. Make it slightly easier.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Now it's just going through the paddle.
That's because I got 15. Shit.
Haha.
It's like I can't hit it once, like, barely. Stop! Shit.
Hey, there's cheating.
I'm not even hitting it. It doesn't even work. I'm trying to hack Pong. It's like not working. Do it. We're getting close.
You lost.
Well, anyway.
Or no, wait. Did I lose? I don't know who lost.
Yeah, I think
Somebody
I
lost.
Anyway, so that's our Odyssey 3000. It was a journey. And, yeah, pretty interesting stuff, man. Okay, folks, we're back, and that looked pretty awesome. I'm actually surprised that it ran so well on a flat screen TV. To be honest, I thought this thing was gonna, like, burst into flames and start melting the nanosecond I turned it on. So not only am I happy to see that it actually works, but it works like a charm, and it actually looks really good. So that's really cool. Anyway, folks, it's been a journey, and I'm very happy that with what I got here. I don't know how long I'm going to hang on to this thing. I mean, stuff like this isn't really something that you would play very often. You know what I mean? This is more of a novelty, really. I think maybe if I were to ever have a party or something, I could bust this out and make it into a drinking game. Because, it was actually kind of fun for a few minutes there, but still, it's very, very primitive, and I think it's more of just a display piece, really. Something that you can mess around with once in a while. So, stuff like this usually, sells depending on condition for around $50 or so. This one doesn't look half bad. It's got a couple of little dings and knots, some damage here. It looks like somebody, like a cigarette burn or something on there. But for the most part, it looks okay. It's the fact that it works really helps. So, anyhow, I think that's all we got, folks. Adios.